All right. So, all right, here we go. So, when this league began back in Path of Exile 1, like a few months before, just, I think it's good there. So yeah, basically a couple of months ago, I think it was October, when this league was released, I was experienced with making my own builds in the past, but this one has been pretty much like no loot filter, no path of building preparation, no specific like research before the league started. What I wanted to do, just checked out this skill called Thunderstorm. This one, which they apparently GGG added in their latest patch, along with some other gems which I don't remember. And I'm like, that looks nice. I have played Lightning Arrow Deadeye in the past, so I was pretty much aware plus minus of the scaling that I could do. And as for the initial get-go, because basically now since it's January and I've been playing Path of Exile 2 more, but still I wanted to get all of the Atlas complete here, and as you can see I'm pretty close in doing that. I would say, so pretty much about the cost of the build, because that's most of the time what we think about. The most expensive piece was this bow, the classic tri-elemental bow that you can find in most, let's say, archer kind of archetypes with skills like lightning arrow or maybe elemental hit. This cost around 1 divine in the first week of the league. I expect now this being very low in price, very much lower. Apparently also the chest here just costed not even 1 divine, I think a couple of chaos. I think the ratio back then was 1 divine to 180 chaos, but then again this is just an approximation. Apart from that, you can just see that, for example, the gloves are just generic attack speed, all resistance, max life. The belt is, as you can see, it's a bit crappy. It's nothing special. Very classic mitigation pace with just increased elemental damage with attacks. Well, this one is a good pair of boots. I think I took those for a couple of chaos too. Granted, again, the prices now will be very, very much on the low end, which also is dependent on the economy, and I also have to do research on that before being very direct. Then again, it's all always contextual as to the specific point of the league and the economy, yeah. The ring here as well, just a little bit of base fire damage, increased fire damage, and just a little bit of strength for the gems that I want to use, namely steel skin. I don't think, yeah, it requires 770 strength, the elemental damage with attacks, and added fire damage, which I don't really need. I have put on the F4 link ballista here on the main bow, which we will get to it later. But yeah, that was pretty much the goal of adding a little bit of more strength. Like this ring here, a little bit more strength, a little bit of intelligence, and one way that you can solve your mana. Like the non-channeling skills have -7 to total mana cost, yeah. If I had another ring like that, I wouldn't even care about my mana reservation, yeah. because basically, how does this go? If you're not aware, the tooltip says how much mana cost is going to be used for any of your skills, really. And this modifier, because Thunderstorm is non-channeling, I just shoot at it. You go through it, and then it blows up those smaller tornadoes. You have -7 mana cost on that. You can couple it with another ring with that. And I think also there's another way, which I don't remember on the top of my head at the moment. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Head is also mid-piece with intelligence and strength. You can see like a very common trope here that I'm trying to squeeze as much strength, dex and intelligence like this one. This one has only intelligence and it has a little bit of cold and lightning damage, which we need as a base point to start scaling our damage. That's when also the bow comes in play. And the quiver, yeah, pretty much the same thing. Increase the projectile speed because we basically scale it through the tree. And then the flasks, like very basic. I think I just can do way better in the flask department, but this just speaks on how the build can function. Okay, so passive tree. I'm not also really sure about that as well, but so basically, as I said before, I didn't use any POBs, I didn't use anything for this build. I just went with pretty much with my gut, and then after going around level 60, 70, when you enter the young game, I was like, okay, let's check on POE Ninja, like this famous site that you can check other people builds, the economy, etc. I remember vaguely that when I searched for a Thunderstorm skill, I could find like 20 people playing this skill in the whole league, so it was not really popular, actually. I started this as a Deadeye for projectile scaling, but eventually, because the build is more elemental focused, and also because the main skill, as you can see, is not directly firing projectiles, it just fires projectile and just does that, and it states it also explicitly here. It says fires one arrow. Modifiers to number of projectiles do not apply to the skill. So even if I put endless munitions from Deadeye, which means +1 arrow, or plus 1 arrow plus something else, this doesn't really seem to work with that. It could work with my ballista totems, like they could fire more arrows, but I use them more in a complementary way. So, why Raider? Your freeze is longer. Yeah, you don't freeze them due to insufficient freeze duration, you inflict a Hoarfrost, which is kind of like a bigger version of freeze. I don't really know the numbers on this one. This one is very good. It's basically your big damage button, and you just inflict all elemental ailments and 80% more, which is a multiplicative modifier. And because math and Path of Exile go hand in hand, multiplicative is always going to be better than additive, like increased type of modifiers. More is always the best over there. And finally this one. This one was very interesting, and as you can see, I don't even have my 4th lab ascendancy. I have one, Cruel, Merciless, which is the bark skin, which I use on the bar here, which is a really nice defensive layer, amongst others, which I don't have many. For the 4th labyrinth, I would say I would go for this one, because it can really scale well with spell suppression. Yeah. I don't know. that should be much it about the Raider. The Pathfinder, so it's mostly flask scaling, and the Deadeye is mostly arrow scaling, so this couldn't do much for the build in question. What do we scale for this build basically? We want space, like here, we want this reservation efficiency node. So for us to be able to have Wrath, Precision, Herald of Ice for the freeze and the shatters. I had Herald of Thunder too, but eventually I ended up getting Wrath for the just base damage increase. Herald of Thunder is nice, but is mostly used to shock basically. If I had a caster build or an explosion based build, so the Herald of Thunder could act as a trigger, I think this would be more beneficial. Then again, I didn't think about it too much, you know. Eventually I had to put my auras... Where did I put my auras? I had to put, of course, Enlighten level 2, which will apply an additional cost reservation multiplier, like less, to all of the gems that is linked. So Wrath, Herald of Ice, and Arctic Armor here, and randomized Golem here. But yeah, let's not get distracted. I wanted to continue with the tree pretty much. You get some suppress here, and some stats. You get increased movement speed here, better stun threshold. This is really nice because the higher you go, the more elemental resistances the mob are going to have. So you go for here, for this one, for penetration. Then you need some leads in order to recoup for my ridiculously low mana bar, to leech a little bit. And then this is a very good life node here that gives a little bit of recovery as well. You put a bit of more suppress here, also the masteries as well. Here I put increased damage for our Herald, so this is 24%. Here I put... this is kind of like a double-edged sword, but this is really nice in the long run, because you might get less chance to suppress. Also, I don't know if the suppressed damage is... or the suppressed chance is entropic or not. I think it's... I don't think it's entropic, because it's similarly... It's a similar mechanic to block, maybe I would say. Then again, for that argument, I'm not really sure. It just suppresses spells, like you have a chance to suppress the spell initially, and then, based on another number, seen here, suppress spell damage prevention. You suppress this amount from... If you get the first roll, you suppress this amount. If you don't get this roll, then nothing happens, basically. So this one, you have less chance, but the more you do that, like let's say it goes 88, and then I get more damage prevention, plus 1%. So basically imagine those two numbers equalizing somehow. So this goes lower, and this goes higher, as far as my understanding goes. And here you have the classic suppress spell damage for your armor, basically. Just make sure that you have evasion rating here, here, and here. Was it those three pieces? Helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots. Okay, so everything, pretty much. I mean, if you want armor and if you want to play Molten Cell instead of Steel Skin, you can put those hybrid armor evasion or just evasion rating. It really depends on what you want to do with it. This one is really nice because we do have an angle to crit scale as a build, basically, but it's kind of rough because I had to scale all three types of elemental damage with attacks, projectile damage or projectile speed, plus my stats, So the only critical mods I could get would be the global, as you can see, increased critical sections on the bow, and that's it. I don't think I have any other crit modifiers, maybe one or two. Yep, not really. Also, these things here are a little bit fake. Like I should be opening a path of building when doing that, but I stayed away from path of building to see what I could do with the stuff at hand. And yeah, you basically have your critical structures here. It's pretty good. And the multiplier, I would say it's pretty good. Like, better would be like around 300%. Then again, it's just going to do some tier 16s. That was the purpose of the build, pretty much. That was the goal at the start. Granted, that's why also this build has trouble with the single target damage. So, that is very good. That's why I took the projectile speed, basically. Yeah. And I think this is, yeah, the critical strike chance. That's why I took it, because then you can convert as damage all of those modifiers that you have as projectile speed, which is good. Cold exposure, so they take more cold damage. Brings in with the elemental thing that we have. This is also very nice. I don't know, like for example, let's say we check again thunderstorm. Chance to freeze 45%, chance to shock 20%. But basically also I think this is the chances, the resistances as stated here. Yeah, as inverted. Normally I expect the monsters to have similar resistances to me, and depending if they are a rare or elite or league mechanic mobs, they get more. So basically this, maybe the mob has like 80% resistance to an element, maybe because of an elite mod. They're resistant to lightning. Maybe this tells you, hey, I have now only 15 resistance, so you can apply whatever ailment you want, plus the extra damage. Then again, it can it can screw you maybe on the other hand, on the inverse scenario. More projectile speed, which goes hand in hand with that. But also, yes, this is increases, so watch out the wording here. I was about to say, hey, this synergizes with this. This is more, so it's the multiplicative. This says increases and reductions, so plus or minus. Wording, yeah, Path of Exile. And that's pretty much the build, you know, like I paid here at the start for those nodes. I took this one because that's really nice, ignore all movement penalties from armor. This one as well, increased speed and damage with synergies from here. And then also the classic nodes here that you can take. I think for the critical, elemental damage, defensive nodes, cold damage, etc. You can say is the pretty classic bow character side of the tree. I don't know if you can do stuff like lionize the jewel that transforms all of the melee nodes into bow modifiers, and I could put it like here. Yeah, I had thought about it, but I don't really know. This is also a really good node. Increased chaos damage, dagger attacks. Okay, so basically, yeah, this could be like a bow, bow, and I think you can put the lionize here. I think the radius might be like around here. So basically, yeah, that would be the tree. That would be the gear as I explained before. I'll just cover also the gem setups. I use basically the command craft two grafts. Because I have low target, single target damage, I have the Return to Dust graft. This is the league specific item thingy. So basically just when you see rare or elite enemies, some hands come and they do like bonk, and they bonk them. That's very good. And then I had found this one. It's just a tornado that if you summon your ballistas that I have on my 4-link, they will shoot it into the tornado as well as other stuff, and the tornado then will spit out the projectiles. It's really nice. It travels around, it's 6 enemies. Like after the 6th link of Thunderstorm, I didn't think of the other things of too much. That's why I think that this build can be way improved in order to do also respectable single target with something 6 link on the bow. Because this is just a random shrapnel ballista, cold damage, fire damage, lightning damage. Blink arrow to get around.
I'm not up to that just yet.
A dash to also get around. Basically you can throw your thingy, can blink out and it goes if you want. Or you can throw the thingy, dash in, but it doesn't work. Oh, nice, doesn't work. Or be here and then go out if you're in a precarious spot. I find that I needed these because the character is quite squishy, as is every bow evasion character, yeah? Here is an auto thingy with mana forged arrows that has mark on hit, sniper's mark for a single target damage, frenzy for my frenzy charges, and this is the classic thing, like if you spend mana, you trigger this. If I hit with a rare or unique enemy with an attack, I trigger this. Then is the Thunderstorm, which was also random, like cold damage, elemental damage with attacks, no quality, no awakened. You could put an awakened here like for a couple of divines, critical strikes, faster attacks, because this is the arrow speed with faster attacks, and this is without. It's a bit more like you see the difference in the map. Basically you don't kill mobs as easy. You could do a little bit more damage here or something else, but I just found this to be more comfortable for me. And also the classic Trinity. I never see the Trinity thingy starting to rotate, and I think that should happen. But yeah, that's another thing, we will see later. Yeah, and then we automate basically our phase run and our steel skin, yeah. So you have a steel skin, which is a little bit of a block of damage. I cannot use it directly, but it will be spam used. I don't even need to put it on left click anymore. And also I can just use phase run to just not need to have, basically I also have phasing flask for quartz, so basically I use a travel skill and it uses the flask as well, which is also good. I always need the evasion, and it's very nice with those kind of builds to be able to go through monsters. Otherwise you stand in a spot, get hammered and you die. And yeah, and then is the aura setup that I talked about before, and that's pretty much it. Just a randomized golem here, maybe for bosses. They don't live long. You can summon them, but the cast time is also
I'm not up to that just yet.
a little bit meh, I don't know. So yeah, pretty much that's it. So this will be around the end of the video. I'm sorry of not checking the chat, basically. I will do it after the map, because I also did kind of like spontaneous setup. I just wanted to do this recording from as much as I remembered, and I function, as I said, like better on just doing stuff spontaneously rather than putting out a script and shit, pull things out of my head, make it more like authentic, if you may.
What is it?
So, can go to this guy. Hmm. This is not too bad, except the temp change, which I don't like. So... Players are targeted by a meteor. Yeah, this is very deadly. Yeah. Okay, let's try this one. It has some Legion. I expect that I will die. Of course, because this build is just squeezers. But yeah.
My mana is gone.
This is the bonk from the thingy. As you can see, it's pretty easy because you see the tornado shoots projectiles out, pew 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 pew, and you just go around. I could do a bridge if the boss spawns. Maybe I will die if I'm not careful, but yeah, let's do it. As you can see, I take chunks. If I stand still for a second, I might die. But the build is very speedy. The build just runs through everything. If they are frozen, if they are not close to you, they can't hit you. So yeah, spellcaster enemies and bosses will be very tough with this build actually. I would expect. But with some good piloting, you can do it, I think. Bear in mind that I don't have a 4th Ascendancy. This is tier 16. Oh, there he is. Yeah, this boss one-shots. Yeah. Look. You can say I barely do any damage to him. Barely. Yeah. But he can die. So yeah, pretty much, as you can see, that's the weakness of the build. Tier 16 originator memory breach mini-boss thingy. It takes some time. Yeah? So since we've made the point, we can go out of the bridge and finish them up. So as you can see, it's not a build that you can do like a juiced content with. And I would not say even Pinnacles, like the first Pinnacles were kind of easy with this one. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Why put yourself through this? Just because I'd like to challenge myself a bit. As you can see, no item filter, no nothing. We don't pick up anything. Who cares about the currency trigger? Look at how much chunk I get. And this was just a rare pack with one elite. Imagine if it was a juiced pack. Oh, it did. But I'll take it. It functions in Originator tier 16, you see, one shot here. So yeah. Yeah, I think I will go also and do the boss, basically. And also check the end, like the end map boss is not even used, I think. So it can be pretty easy. I mean the bridge. Hello. Oh, this hit like a truck. Jesus Christ. And as you can see, even like in originator memories, yeah, it takes some time to kill them. I mean, I can pop the ulti, I can pop the stuff and kill them eventually, because I will be doing more damage. But yeah, takes some time. If you want a screen destroyer build, this is not the build for you, unfortunately.
You won't escape me.
And like the single target damage is carried by the, as you can see, by the arms. Those do the most things. Even the boss here, like you see, sweet time, sweet time. Then we do the elemental thingy. Oh, a Veritania map. Okay, nice. But yeah, like basically this is just a, you know, kind of concept thingy more than anything, I would say. This build is not for a endgame for just tier 16s or even like 8 mode tier 16s. I don't even know what the meta for farming and stuff it is right now. But for your Atlas, for the last of the up to the tier 16s that you need, I need to do some here. I've done some tier 16s here. Yeah, it can very much give you all of the Atlas points, and basically it can also give you this, the Maven, basically the Maven set. That's why I did this season. I haven't played Path of Exile since the first one, since maybe 1 year plus. So that was the motive, and that's the final one, and you get a puzzle box as well. So yeah, pretty much that was the build. I'll stop the recording now, and I will check in the chat, maybe play a bit more. If you wrote me in the chat, I'm sorry, but I don't have the chat panel behind. I should have looked at my phone, but I know that I would get distracted too. So yeah, time for me to check.